many of the problems that entrepreneurs are trying to solve that we've heard about today or walk around through the conference that wouldn't be solved if we couldn't just clone our best teachers? And how many things couldn't be fixed if we couldn't or not speak while we're giving a presentation? So, one of the things that we think about is, what is the aspect of a great teacher that we'd want to clone, right? We can videotape them, we can hear them give a lecture, and that's available, throughout the world. You can get the entire MIT course load, I think now is available online. But there's something really important that's missing. And what's missing is not that sort of one-way communication, but the feedback that happens when students and teachers communicate. When a teacher asks a question, when the student gives an answer, and when a teacher gives a response. That is something that we haven't been able to clone. And that's something that's very key to be able to scale education. So what Sense does, I have the opposite, it's unsensitive. Insensitive? There we go. So what allows education to scale? What is the key? Imagine if that your TA, instructor, professor could read every open-ended submission, spend time analyzing it, and writing individual comments to each student, and commenting on mistakes and achievements, and noting all of those, and do all of that for every assignment that you have for the last 5 years. I don't know why my fonts are like this. And do that same thing for 40,000 students in under a minute. That's what Sense does. Sense has created a human-computer AI that provides the best human-generated feedback, faster and fairer to students on a global scale. So what do? We take assignments, we take submissions from students, and we identify similar patterns across those submissions. And we use algorithms that come from genomics to understand what is common about different assignments and cluster them, so that we can say there may be 500 submissions in this particular classroom, but 230 of them fit into cluster 1, meaning I have the same feedback I want to be able to give, and 30 of them fit into cluster 2, and it's the same feedback. So Sense can detect that, and we can do it on open-ended assignments, whether it's a paragraph of text, an Excel spreadsheet that has some statistics homework on it, or a computer science program that maybe teaches a student of how to sort different types of problems. And so we cluster those assignments so that instead of a teacher having to read 500 assignments, maybe they're reading 5 or 10, but that covers the vast preponderance of submissions in a class, allows the teacher to spend the time that he would spend, doesn't exhaust him, doesn't create a bias, so that the students will get personalized feedback, but the teacher is only reading a small portion of those different assignments. Once we do that, once we teach a system to do that using a technology called unsupervised machine learning, we then transform that into an instant feedback system, a 24/7 teacher that can answer questions about that assignment because it sees how teachers have gone ahead and graded and given feedback to those assignments. So for instance, once the system sees how I've given feedback to cluster number 3, then any time it sees that patterns that defines cluster number 3, the system is able to give hints or able to give instant feedback, thereby sort of duplicating that teacher as if he's all over the world. And what sort of data do we extract? How students solve problems, how teachers should respond, what feedback works best, what content works best, can we prevent student failure? All of these things, because we look at how students solve problems, are able to be counted in our system and extracted and presented to teachers. And what that does is, for Sense, the same type of data that drives growth of all of these different sort of ad tech and online companies becomes part of what happens in education companies. That data about how students solve problems becomes the key to helping people achieve success in those problems. And our customers love our product. This is from ASU, Phil Miller. I feel like I'm floating above all the student submissions and can see everything that is going on in the class, and it's eye-opening. Like he's stretching his out because they've never been able to see this before. Are we keeping to the 5-minute? So one more spot. So the value proposition for Sense is students get faster, fairer feedback, more informed assessment, and they get a 24/7 TA. Teachers have less work, they can measure outcomes, and they can learn about the good and the bad parts of their content. Educational institutions can scale, they can get more revenue. Corporations who can use this to match jobs to problem solving and performance, and content becomes refined via empirical measures of success. If you have any further questions, please approach me. Thank you very much.